Hey, how's it going? Zach D Productions here, and I'm here with a throwback list video for you guys. So for this list, I'll be going over my favorite films from the year 2014, movies that I'll be celebrating their 10th anniversary this year, 2024. So I have about 7 films selected here, and I don't think this list is in any particular order, so keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I think the first film I'll name here is Taken 3 with, of course, Liam Neeson. In my opinion, Taken 3 is probably the best of the Taken sequels. Now, I know a lot of people say that Taken never needed sequels. They should have just made the first one and just left it at that. And you know what? I can kind of agree with that, but technically speaking, when we're talking about the sequels, the third film I do think is the best of the sequels. The second film I think is okay, but it was basically the first film, except it was sort of like a revenge story for the bad guys, and it was also reversed. Liam Neeson's character and his wife get taken. And at least with the third film, they went in a different direction. Like, Liam Neeson's character loses his wife, and he basically has to prove his innocence and everything. So yeah, they at least took the story in a more intense direction, in a different direction. So overall, Taken 3, probably the best of the Taken sequels, I would say. It's actually a good movie for what it is, but none of the Taken films, none of the sequels come anywhere near the first one. I think the first Taken movie is honestly Liam Neeson's masterpiece. Next, we have The Equalizer with Denzel Washington, the first Equalizer movie with Denzel. Really great movie. Honestly, probably one of my favorite Denzel movies. It started this franchise of The Equalizer, of course, with Denzel, and I am actually a big fan of all 3 of the films. Now, as I've given it more time, like which of the films would I say is the weakest, I'd say the second one is. The first one is still the best, I would say. But yeah, this was the one that started it all. And it's a great movie. I mean, it has a really intense story. I mean, of course, you have really brutal scenes, like when he's in the hardware shop where he works and everything, his character. Everything from that, between all the other scenes where he's taking out bad guys and stuff. So yeah, there's some emotion to the movie, and there's some cool action and stuff like that. So overall, The Equalizer, great movie for sure. And Denzel, really great actor as well. So next we have Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Definitely a great movie. I do think it's a better film than the original Captain America, the first Avenger. I think as each of the Captain America films came out, it seemed like each one was a step up from the last. So yeah, Winter Soldier, really dug this movie. I do think it's better than the first Captain America film. I like that, it seems like, the action, they really stepped it up when it came to the action scenes and everything. And the story as well, you could say more intense, more intriguing as well. So Captain America, The Winter Soldier, really great. Solid Marvel movie for sure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So next we have another Liam Neeson film, Non-Stop. Definitely one of my personal favorite Liam Neeson flicks. This one basically takes place on a plane. I believe Liam Neeson's character plays an air marshal. I mean, I don't want to spoil what happens in the movie if you haven't seen it, but I would definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you are a fan of Liam Neeson. This is definitely one of his best films for sure. It actually might be my favorite film that he's done that's not Taken. So yeah, Non-Stop, really great movie for sure. So next we have John Wick. The original John Wick film, a really great movie, and honestly, probably my favorite John Wick film as well. With, of course, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, highly respected individual and actor, of course. From what I hear, he's a really nice guy as well, which is really cool. But the original John Wick film, I have always loved. it's a great movie for sure, and it's one of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies as well. And this was the one that started it all. You know, of course, he loses his dog, and it starts this whole thing. He basically decides to come out of retirement, you know, and get revenge. And yeah, it's just a solid action flick. And movies like John Wick really does prove that you know, there still is a place for action heroes and action films in this era. Now, I know it's been 10 years, but still, you know, I would still say it's a part of this era. So, all in all, the first John Wick movie, really great movie. And again, probably one of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies. Probably one of my favorite performances from him as well. Next, we have Kung Fu Killer with Donnie Yen. Pretty good movie. I wouldn't put it up there as one of Donnie Yen's best movies, but I did like this one, actually. It's a pretty solid one. I do like the martial arts in this movie, and if you know me well enough, I do like martial arts films. And yeah, Donnie Yen, I am a fan of his martial arts style, especially when it comes to the Ip Man films, but I think his martial arts are really solid in this movie as well. So basically, Donnie Yen's character plays this prisoner, and he basically works with these investigators who want to track down a Kung Fu killer, of course. So yeah, the story's really intense. So yeah, you do get invested in the story and everything. So yeah, I dig the fight scenes and everything. A lot of cool things going for this film for sure. So, Kung Fu Killer, really good movie with Donnie Yen. Again, not one of Donnie Yen's best films, I don't think, but pretty good still. So lastly, of course, you knew I had to have this movie on the list. Godzilla 2014. This is a solid film. Now, honestly, when it comes to the MonsterVerse films, this is maybe my least favorite. This is maybe the weakest of all the MonsterVerse films, if we're not including the Monarch Legacy of Monsters show, because if we're including that, that's the worst thing to ever come from the MonsterVerse. But when we're talking the full-length films, you know, the feature films, Godzilla 2014 I do think is the weakest. But it's still a good movie, with saying that. It's still a very good movie. Really solid reboot for Godzilla for sure. So yeah, and this was Godzilla's comeback as well, not just for America, but just in general. Because the last time that there's been an American Godzilla-made movie, I believe was Godzilla 98, which I know is a pretty divisive film. So, you know, they decided to come out with Godzilla 2014, and it was also the first Godzilla movie in years. So yeah, I'm sure at the time, you know, fans were really stoked. They were really stoked to see that Godzilla is back and everything. So, yeah, but it's still a good movie, even though it's not perfect. You know, it's definitely not one of the best MonsterVerse movies, but it's still a really solid movie. So, that is my list of my favorite films from the year 2014. Feel free to let me know what you think. What are your favorite movies from the year 2014? Feel free to let me know. So with that said, thank you for watching. Have a good one.